जी,
Have
वालेकुम सलाम। जी, वालेकुम सलाम। जी,
you
आवाज़ आ रही है। जी।
last lecture? Okay, today we are going to start the next chapter, that is on methods of strategic development. We have studied strategic, how to make strategy, what are the three types of strategy, now how we can analyze our environment and what are the tools by which we can analyze it. Now what are the methods of strategic development, how a company can grow, how they can be strategically developed. The first method by which they can develop is through developmental methods, and the second one is portfolio analysis. Through developmental methods, there are some strategies which we are going to adopt. For example, we are going for acquisition, acquiring new companies, taking franchises, then mergers, then these methods are called developmental methods. We are increasing our company. We are increasing the portfolio. Then portfolio analysis is basically we will discuss that BCG matrix, Boston Consulting, that grid. We are going to discuss that thing, and portfolio analysis is basically revolves around that BCG matrix, that where you stand, where your product stands in star product, cash cow, dog, problem child, and we will discuss in detail when we get into the chapter in detail. So where the product will stand, then you will decide that where we have to develop or we have to wind it up the company. So basically, portfolio analysis is the analysis of your product range, that where do you stand currently in the market in terms of products. And developmental methods are basically that how you can expand yourself, develop yourself through different methods. The first method which we are going to discuss today is that is acquisition. What is acquisition? Acquisition, basically word arises from acquire. There are two types of companies. One is parent company and the other is subsidiary company. Parent company acquire the subsidiary company in which that company possess more than 50% of the share. So if he possess more than 50% of the share of that company which the company is acquiring, that company is called holding company or parent company, and the one they are taking the shares more than 50% is called subsidiary company. So through acquisition you can maintain your, or you can develop in the market, because that brands come ultimately comes under you and you will expand in the market. Now acquisition basically, technically a merger in essence the pooling of interest by two business entities. Merger are basically you are merging the things, you are pooling the interest of two business entities, and both are going into the same direction in common ownership. The ownership will remain the same. This is merger. And acquisition normally involves a larger company, a predator, acquiring a smaller company which is a target. Predator, basically the big company, multinationals, they are acting as a predators, and their targets are smaller companies which are basically the subsidiary companies which I am talking about. So merger, what is the difference between merger and acquisition? Merger is basically pooling the interest of two business entities. We are working for the same interests, and the ownership remains common. So, like what? But in acquisition, the larger company, which is acting as a predator, acquiring the smaller companies, and they get hold of that company. They cannot give hold to the other company. Acquisitions are usually easier to control as the predator can more easily and quickly dictate controls. Yes, as you acquire the company, so you will be in the controlling position. You can dictate the smaller companies. You can do the work as per your likes and dislikes. You can influence the smaller companies. But in mergers, you cannot influence the companies because the ownership remains the same. Common ownership. There is common ownership. But in acquisition, you can easily dictate the other company because you are the owning person and you hold more than 50% of the share of that company. So acquisition are easier to control. Now what are the advantages and disadvantages of acquisition? All the methods which we are going to discuss today in this chapter, they have their own pros and cons, because but you have to decide according to the scenario. When examiner asks you that how the company will strategically develop, so you have to analyze the situation, you have to analyze the scenario which is given by the examiner, and then you have to advise according to that scenario that which method is uh, suitable for that company to use, whether that is acquisition, whether it is merger, whether that is franchises, and so on. But here I am going to discuss all of them and their advantages and disadvantages. Mostly they will ask for one method, and they will ask for pros and cons as well, so you will discuss from the both of the angle, that what are the pros if you go for this option, and what are the cons if you go for this option. So we have to discuss from both the aspects. Advantages: it is a quick way to grow. Yes, it is a very quick way, because you are acquiring and you get control of the company, so it is a very quick way. There can be synergistic gains. Yes, synergy basically means that 2 plus 2 is equal to 5. Lesser input, more output, so you will get that synergetic gains, because synergy will ultimately give you more gains, more benefit. Output will be increased, lesser inputs and more outputs. Acquire the necessary strategic capabilities. You will ultimately acquire the necessary strategic capabilities, because there are you will acquire the company and their capabilities also transferred to you. Then overcome barriers to entry. Yes, if you acquire the company and that company belongs to you, the barriers will be reduced, because ultimately you will one force, so the barriers of entry will be overcome. Can chase a target that fits best. See portfolio analysis. Yeah, yes, we will discuss in portfolio analysis as well. Can choose a target that fits best. Yes, you will choose that company which will fit in your target, which will make you to work for goal congruence. That those company goal and your goals will be the same. You are working for the same goals. Goal congruence that fits your target, that fits your mission and vision statement. Enhances reputation with finance providers. Yes, ultimately you will get more finance providers, you will get more shareholders, you will get more lenders, because the reputation will increase, because the market share will increase. You are belong to a now you will now belong to a new sorry into a multinational group, so ultimately the reputation will increase, goodwill increase, and it's a matter of all goodwill. If the goodwill increase, the finance providers will easily grant you finance. Then disadvantage: can be very expensive. Yes, if you have that money, then you will acquire the company, so it will be an expensive way to expand. If you have the multinational can only use those that strategy, because they have more of the resources, so they can acquire the things easily. But for SMEs it is not applicable, because they are not having as much of resources. Synergies are not automatic. Sometimes their synergies and your synergy will not match, and ultimately it will not get, you expect more, you will think that it will double your things, but ultimately it will not get at that level which you expect. Can lead to cultural clashes. Yes, this is one of the bigger factor, because the company which is acquiring have different culture, and the acquirer have different culture, and the acquiree, the company which is acquired by the parent company, the acquiree, that have the different culture. So the cultural clashes arises, conflict arises, values and beliefs are not going to match with each other, so they will not aligned. Basically the people are not aligned, and the conflict are more and the resolutions are lesser. There may be legal barriers to overcome. Yes, competition law and etc. All parts of the target are acquired, including its problems. Yes, if you acquire something, you are acquiring their good points as well as their problems. So you have to make sure that you can encounter that problems as well. You have the capability to encounter those problems as well. Requires good change management skills. Yes, if the management is not going to accept that change, how you will going to be implement that. So it is basically that they are also accepting the change, they are also having that skill, that they will adapt to the situation, they will change themselves as per the parent company. So it will require good change management skills. If they don't have good change management skills, they are rigid, they are not flexible, so they will not move in that culture. Now, what is synergistic gains? Synergistic gains refers to a position where the combined entity is worth more than the sum of the value of the company prior to acquisition. Yes, very simple. If I do in very simple language, this is 2 plus 2 is equal to 5. Basically, 2 plus 2 equal to 5 means that your input are lesser and your output are more. You have more value addition rather than which you are contributing to the company. So synergistic gains are that you are contributing less, but the benefits are more from that synergy. So this is called synergistic gains. This can come from areas such as improved combined profitability, a better financial position, or a better market position. So this is basically synergistic gains, that you are better, have better market position, you capture the market whole, you have better financial position because of that acquisition. So this is called synergistic gains. So improved profitability. Yeah, how come improve profitability? When they are combined effort, when they are putting effort together, the profitability will automatically increase because both of the companies are working for towards the same goal. So the profitability will ultimately increase. Sales synergies, cost synergies. Sales synergies mean that the combined effort to do sales, the both of the companies is doing effort to do sales for one company, so automatically sales will increase. Cost will be lesser because some capabilities the other company have, the some capability the parent company have, and both are combined, and ultimately the cost will reduce. Now, improved financial position. Yes, you are sharing assets, you are sharing working capital, you finding cheaper financing, stabilizing cash flows because they are now sharing all the things. So ultimately, the financial position will be more, and the cash flow management will basically, which is cash is basically blood for the business, and the cash flow management is basically improved, and ultimately it will give you competitive edge. Improved market position, sharing skills and knowledge, risk reduction from a portfolio effect, improved management, better corporate parenting, and better focus. Yes, market position, and ultimately because you are sharing all the skills, you are sharing all the knowledge, you are believing in that sharing and transferring of knowledge. So research will come, new things will come, innovation will come, improve customer satisfaction will improve, and ultimately the focus will be better, and you will get that competitive edge. Now, this is the example, so you have to do it, you have to read it, and you have to do it that Burberry example in this. Now, the next is corporate parenting. Corporate parenting looks at the relationship between head office and individual business units. This will become more important if a business follows the route of growth through acquisition. The aim will be become a good parent to new subsidiaries. Basically, corporate parenting mean that if you have best at something, you will acquire smaller company, and ultimately you will give him guidance that how you do that, how you will do improve your procedures, how will you will have that skills to make better things. So you are basically guiding that company and parent that company to be better in position after acquiring them. So this is called corporate parenting. Corporate parents do not generally have direct contact with customer or suppliers, but instead their main function to manage the business units. They are acting as an SBUs. SBUs are basically strategic business units. So the company they acquire, they are not direct contact. The parent company is not direct contact with that customer. They are basically trained the subsidiary company, which is acting as a strategic business unit. Strategic business unit as basically means that they are responsible for their own revenue, loss, profit, and investment. SBUs are basically those whom do you delegate all the powers and say that you are responsible for your own profit, revenue, loss, and investment. So you are only guiding them, and they are doing their work by their own. You are not direct contact with the customer, but you are holding the uh, subsidiary company, but they are responsible for all their activities. You have delegated the authority, you are not interfering it, but ultimately they are going to answerable to the head office, which is the by parent company, which is the parent company. So it will add value to the organization, it will add cost, so destroy the value that the business units have created. For example, if central overheads are recharged to business units, so sometimes it happens that it will also lead to duplication of resources. Some things are done at parent company and also done in the subsidiary company as well. So it will basically do decentralization, which sometimes get into that duplication of resources. So it will ultimately get into the increase of the cost. Now, second is organic growth. What is meant by organic growth? Acquisition is basically you are acquiring the smaller companies. Organic growth mean that you are growing by yourself. You are not acquiring, you are not taking franchises, you are not getting into any other business, you are not getting in or seeing any other thing. You are only believing on yourself and you are organically growing step by step, from small to medium, from entrepreneurship to, sorry, if we start as an entrepreneur, then partnership, then company, small company, medium company, and then multinational. You are following each and every step of the industry. This is called organic growth. You are growing organically. So, what are the advantages of growing it organically? Can spread the cost. Yes, you can easily spread up the cost. No cultural clashes or control issues, because control is in the one hand, and there will be all the employees belong to one company, so there will be no cultural clashes, no cultural conflicts. They are sharing the same values and beliefs as the company is sharing. Can be set up in many ways. For example, through a new division. Yes, you can set the division, but you are not going for that mergers and acquisitions. May get access to government grants. How they grow organically, how they get that finances through, that is through government grants. Government can give grants to you, and you have to repay that grants. IFRS, I think 20 deal with that government grants, if I'm not mistaken. Then easier to terminate. Yes, it is very easy because control lies with you, so you have the right to terminate and to hire. Can be developed slowly. Yes, less risk, developed very slowly. But in acquisition, there is high risk but developed in a very lesser time. But organically, if it is less risk, but you develop very slowly, step by step, because you are responsible for each and every step. Then disadvantages: lack of experience in new areas. Yes, you believe in traditional way of working. There is no exposure. There is no input of new experiences. That's why you will not uh, up to the mark with the new, and you cannot perform in the new areas, and you will lack experience in new areas. So innovation will be less in those companies, if they grow organically. Less attractive to finance providers. Yes, finance providers do not, are less attractive to that, because it will take so much time to get into that peak. So they are less attractive to that. That's why they believe in government grants. There may be barrier to organic entry. Yes, it may be a barrier. It may be too slow. Yes, no access to skills, reputation, or other strategic capabilities required for success. Yes, they don't believe in they only believe in yourself, so they will not into that, getting into new skills and new blood, fresh blood. They are not getting into those recruitment processes. Managers may be spread too thinly. Yes, they are too thinly spread out. So organically, this is the advantage. Now the third is joint ventures. If you go for joint ventures mean that you are doing something together. This is called joint venture. What are the advantages? Can share the setup and running cost. Yes, you will share equally, 50-50. Setup cost equally, share profit equally. So all the things are 50-50. Can learn from each other. Yes, you will learn from um, uh, you can learn from each other. You can learn new thing. Some one person learn from the other one, and the other one learn from the first one. Can focus on relative strengths. Yes, you will know what our strength is and on which strengths we can play. So you are only focusing on those strengths. May reduce a political or cultural risks. Yes, because there are limited people, so the political and the cultural risks are very less, because you can control very easily because of the lesser people. It is better than going it alone than competing. Yes, they believe in to go alone rather than to compete with the market. Can often lead to disputes. Sometimes you have a joint venture, you run up very well, you have that capability, you use that capability. Now when you reach that level, sometimes dispute arises and they split off, and the all the effort, all the experience, all the cost will basically shut down. So this is basically it's disadvantage of joint venture. It is sometimes often to disputes and ultimately collapse. May give access to strategic capabilities and eventually allow the partner to compete in core areas. They only believe in core areas, so they only compete in core areas, not beyond that. So they don't believe in experimentation and new things. There may be a lack of commitment from each party. Yes, sometimes commitment will be less from one party, but other party is very committed. So joint venture will not run effectively. Requires strong central support, which may not be provided. Yes, the central body, the central support is not provided by that person is not decision maker, so you will lack that ability. Transfer pricing issues may arise and performance appraisal can be complicated. Yes, because there is two people involved, two parties involved, so the pricing, transfer pricing will be sometimes an issue, and sometimes appraisal is a very difficult thing to do, because everybody's we are not the best judges for for our own performances. So we always said that we did our best, did our best, so nobody is going to accept that where are the loopholes and where we have to work it upon. Now, what is a strategic alliance? A strategic alliance can be defined as a cooperative business activity formed by two or more separate organizations for strategic purposes that allocates ownership, operational responsibilities, financial risk, and rewards to each member while preserving their separate identity and autonomy. Yes, autonomy basically means, autonomy word means power. So strategic alliance is basically that you are working as two or more organization working collectively. They allocates the ownership, they allocates operational responsibility, they allocates the financial risks, they allocates the reward of each member while preserving, without interfering in their power, why without interfering their separate identity. Basically they are working as a separate identity, but they are meant to be named by separate entity, but underhand they are working or working together. Sometimes we know that companies are making two types of product, there are two types of customers in the market. For example, I'm giving you the example. So, sometimes there are two types of products in the sorry, two types of the customers in the market. The one is the, you can say that elite class product, elite class, and the second one is the mediocre class. So the company is offering two sort of products. One is for elite class and one is for mediocre class. So sometimes we even don't know and don't realize that though both of the products are making, which have different names but making under a same brand. So this is called strategic alliance. This is called strategic alliance. You are catering both type of customers. Now, seven characteristics of a well-structured alliance have been identified. Now, what are the seven characteristics that you have been aligned very well? First of all, strategic synergy. More strength when combined than they have independently. Yes, if they work independently, they have some. You can say that they have this. They have some limitations. But if they join strategically, the more synergy they bring, the more output they bring, so more strength they have. So basically this is the strategic synergy is one of the characteristics. If there is more synergy, this means that the alliance is good. Positioning opportunity. At least one of the companies should be able to gain a leadership position to sell a new product or service to secure access to raw material and technology. Yes, positioning opportunity. Yes, if the alliance is, if there will be no two leaders at a time. You have to give some one company a leadership position who will make all the decisions. That is called positioning. They have that position and nobody will interfere in that position, and the rest of the people will follow that what they are going to say. So then alliance will good, and then alliance will working effectively, and then you will get the desired results. Otherwise, if both of them will make decisions and nobody is going to is ready to follow them, then there is no point of doing that. Now, limited resource availability. A potentially good partner will have strength that that complement weaknesses of the other partner. Yes, uh, in this, what they want to say that somebody, as a human being, we have some strength and weaknesses. So the weakness of one person is covered by the strength of the other one, and the other one weakness is covered by the first one strength. So we will complement each other in every aspect, financially, physically, you can say that emotionally. We will balance each other, complement each other. This is called limited resource. If we complement, then that this means that strategic alliance is good. Lesser risk. Forming the alliance reduces the risk for the venture. Yes, the risk is basically, the risk and return both are distributed, so the risk will reduce. Cooperative spirit. both companies must want to do this, and this willing to cooperate fully. If you don't willing to cooperate, this means that the alliance is not good. But if you want to cooperate fully, this means that you can go for that strategic alliance, because you have to accept something, you have to communicate something, sometimes you have to obey, sometimes you have to contribute. So it will depend. So you have to be uh, prepare for all the scenarios. Clarity of purpose, results, milestone, methods, resources, commitments must be clearly understood. Yes, there is clarity in everything. If you are clear with what sort of methods they are going to use, what resources they have, what are the sort of commitments they have, and what are the results they want to achieve through this alliance, these all things are clear to the both of the companies. Because if they are not clear with that, then the confusions and ambiguities and clashes will conflicts will arise. So if it is clear, then you, if you cope up with that those things, then you will be go for that strategic alliance, because you will go for then you will go with set mind that we I have to contribute that thing. Then win-win situation. The structure, risk, operation, rewards must be fairly apportioned among members. Yes, both both the parties who are going for alliance, the all the things should be shared. Then it is a win-win situation. Otherwise, it will sometimes get into win or lose or win situation. So this or lose situation. So you will go for win and win in that scenario if you share all the things to equally to that those both of the companies. Now the next way of you can go for strategic development, that is called franchising. Franchising mean that we are using the name of brand name, and we will purchase that name because as it is already developed so much goodwill in the market that we will cash that name. That is called franchising. For example, Starbucks, we will get that franchise and open the Starbucks is also already is known brand. It is already known by all over the world. So this is called franchising. So what they, and by this way organizations can grow. So what are the advantages? Receive an initial capital injection. Yes, you will need a high capital injection, because you have to inject more capital by purchasing the franchise. Can spread brand equally. Yes, the brand is equally spreaded out. Easy to terminate. Yes, you can go for termination easily because that brand is already developed and you don't have to contribute anything to that. A good way to test the market before full investment. Yes, you can go for full investment, but before full investment you can get in to know the market by using the franchise name. Franchisee may provide better local knowledge. Yes, because if, for example, if we have a franchise in Dubai or if we have a franchise in UK, the local supplier will get better contact with the customer, so he will get provide better services as compared they are going to provide by through central body. So it is better that franchisee is more better position, because as he is aware of all the local things, so he can better give the services. Franchisor management can focus on strategic rather than operational issues. Yes, you can only focus the franchisor, the one who is giving the name. He is only focusing on strategic issues rather than operational issues, because he cannot be at all the time at all the places. So franchisee is more better to look at it and into operational issues. Disadvantages: share profit. Sometimes they also need certain percentage of profit as well. May give access to strategic capabilities, eventually allow the partner to compete in core areas. Yes, there may be a lack of goal congruence. Sometimes there will be no goal congruence. It is operating some differently in other areas and differently in different areas. So sometimes franchisor what do that, they standardize the processes, that it will be not, it is not different in any aspect. It is served as same as in all franchises. So because ultimately it will lead to it will lead to lack of goal congruence. There is a loss of control over quality and recruitment. Yes, sometimes you have no control. The when you give the franchise, the and then other party have to decide that how they going to recruit, how they maintain the quality. So you will ultimately lose the control somehow. There may be a lack of consistency across franchises. Yes, This will be the issue. If you don't standardize the methods, the consistency will not match throughout the franchises. It may be difficult to attract franchises. Yes, and ultimately it is very difficult to attract the franchises if you are not giving the services according to the name of that franchise. Now, this is the only reading you have to do, because we have already discussed all these things. This is the explanation. Now, the second is portfolio. We are done with developmental methods. Developmental methods, which we discussed. We discussed beta. First of all, we discussed that through acquisition, then organic growth, strategic alliance, and the last we discuss is franchises. These are the ways through which we can grow strategically. And the next part of this is that is portfolio analysis. How we are going to develop through portfolio analysis. An organization may have to make investment decisions, such as whether to add a company to its existing portfolio or whether to divest of an existing subsidiary. One technique that can be used to perform this task is called portfolio analysis, which determine the fit between the business units and other business units held by the company. What is basically portfolio mean? That portfolio basically means that you have how many unit you are currently running. So you have to do an evaluation, and the model or tool which we use to do for that evaluation is called BCG matrix. Through BCG matrix, we have to come to decision that whether we have to invest in that portfolio or invest in that thing, or we have to divest or get rid of that thing. So through portfolio analysis, which we are going to decide this. This is called BCG matrix, Boston Consulting Group growth share matrix. This 2 by 2 matrix classifies businesses, divisions, or products according to the present market share and the future growth of that market. On two bases, we are going to analyze current market share and future growth. Growth is seen as the best measure of market attractiveness. Market share is seen to be a good indicator of competitive strength. In market share, we will know that where we stand, what is the competitive strength of our, and growth, we are going to share that how attractive the market is. So basically, there are two parameters on which we are going to assess the organization. The one is growth and the other one is market share. Now, this is the BCG matrix which we are going to assess. Now, the on y-axis we have rate of growth in the market, how we are going to grow in the market, and relative market share. And in x-axis we have relative market share, that how much market share we does possess. And we on y-axis we have rate of growth, and on x-axis we have relative market share, and we divide both of these variables into two extremes, low and high and low. Now, what how we are going to get study this? If there is if the rate of growth of market is high and relative market share is also high, we will say that product is star product. What we say that product? Star product, because growth is also high and relative market share, current position is also high. That is star product. If the rate of growth is low but market share is high, that is called cash cow. They will giving you profit in current scenario, but growth it is low. If the growth is high but currently they are giving, if the growth is high but currently they are giving low profits, low market share, this will called problem child. This is called problem child, because you are injecting money but it is not materializing in the current, so it will lead to losses. And if the growth is also low and the market share is also low currently, this is called dog product. You have to get rid of that product. You have to make sure that you don't make that product, because it has no potential in the future, as well as it is not giving profits in the current scenario as well. So an organization would want to have the following in the balanced portfolio: cash flow of sufficient size or number that can support other products in the portfolio; star of sufficient size or number that will provide sufficient cash generation when the current cash cows are no longer to do so. If cash cow is not giving you in the current scenario, then star product will give you. Problem children which have reasonable prospects of becoming future stars. Problem child will give you profits in future, but not in the current scenario. If you bear those losses, then you will earn profits from that product. Otherwise, you will not. If you have resources to bear that loss. No dogs, or if there are any, they would need to be good reasons for retaining them. Now, a cash cow has a high relative market share in a low growth market and should be generating substantial cash inflows. High market share, but growth is low, but substantially they are producing substantial cash inflows in the current scenario. So cash cows is basically they are giving you profit in the current period. A star has a high relative market share in a high growth market. Yes, both are high. This type of product may be in a later stage of its product life cycle. A star may be only cash neutral despite its strong position. This is basically the later stage of product life cycle because both are high market share high, and the market position is also high and the future growth is also high. This means that it is a later stage of product. This will ultimately get into the declining phase. The problem child is sometimes called question mark, is characterized by a low market share in a high growth market. Growth market is high, but currently the market share is so low. Substantial net cash input is required to maintain or increase market share. You need to invest more in that problem child if you want to get that profits or that cash in future. If you have if you have resources, then you kept that problem child with the company. Otherwise, you will get rid of it. A dot product has a low market share in a low market growth. Both are low. Such a product tends to have a negative cash flow. They are giving you negative cash flow. That is likely to continue. Yes, it is unlikely that a dog can wrest market share from competitors. Yes, basically it is better to get rid of the dog products because if you cannot afford that, if you cannot bear those losses, it will ultimately get you to the running of you can say that cash flows, because you cannot be dog products for longer period of time. If you are not earning anything, you will get rid of that because it will give you negative cash flows. Now now this is the example how we are going to use the strategies for that. Rate of growth, the same is the grid as BCG: star, problem child, cow, dog. Product movement from A to B to C representing the product life cycle. Yes, they are moving from A problem child to star product. If you invest, that problem child will ultimately become star product because it give you cash in the future, and ultimately it will become cash cows. And this cash movement from product Z to X and Y, that cash movement is from Z to X and then Y. A cash movement move from cash cows to star and cash cows to problem child. So uh, ultimately you have to maintain the cash flows as well, and you have to maintain that whether you want to you have to decide that whether you bear those losses or you invest in that problem child to ultimately make that problem child into star products. So star products are basically, I repeat myself again, the star products are those products which have high market growth as well as high market share. Problem child are those who have high market growth but low market share in the current. Cash cows are those who have high market share in the current but low market growth. And dog products are those who have both low market growth and low market share. So it is dependent when the examiner asks any question on this BCG matrix or portfolio analysis, you have to analyze all the products which is given in the scenario, and then you have to decide that which product the company have to pick up, whether that star product, problem child, cash cows, or dog. Which product? Sometimes it happens. I will give you some example that sometimes scenario is indicating that the the product is dog product, that it has low market growth and low market share as well. but the brand is known by that product, because that is the pioneer product of that brand. That brand is known by that thing. So the company sometimes have to bear those losses, because the brand image is associated with that product, and ultimately he has to make bear those losses and then come into the position to launch a star product. So sometimes examiner will also trick you like this. Now, public sector portfolio matrix. 1 minute. Anwar, are you there?
जी मैम जी मैम
One favor. Give one favor to me. If the meeting has ended after 45 minutes, kindly do message me. Then I will join again, because I the slides are open, so I cannot know that the meeting is end. How much time I think it will waste with. When meeting got ended, please do tell me. Now, public sector portfolio matrix. What is public sector portfolio matrix? That that is value. There are two dimensions on public sector portfolio. One is value for money, because you are providing services, so value for money is matters a lot. Value for money basically means, I told you before, that is three E's: economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. This matters a lot. If we say that that product is value for money or that service is value for money, I say that it is efficient, economy, and effective. Desirability of the service, how public support and funding attractiveness, how you watch that product, how much is the desirability of the service, how much the public wants, you want support from the public and funding attractive, how government is involved in it, because we are talking about public sector, so government decision matters a lot. So this is called, we are taking on y-axis public need and funding attractiveness effectiveness, sorry, and on x-axis we are taking value for money. If public need and funding effectiveness is high and value for money is also high, this is called public sector star. If we are discussing on the context of public sector, that sometimes the examiner ask about public sector organization specifically, so you have to use bcg metrics in this way, which I am talking to right now. And if he's not, if he's talking about private sector, then we have to use that traditional bcg metrics, which I have told you earlier, that only star, problem child, cash cows and dog, you have only write this. But and you have to only assess on those points: market share and market growth only. But if the examiner asks you about public sector, the scenario is addressing on public sector, then you have to assess on both, on two things, two variables. Now the variables are changed, not on market growth and market share. Now the variables are value for money and public need and funding effectiveness. If the public need and if funding effectiveness is high, that public need it and funding is also effective, we have that funds, the government have that funds, this is high, and it is also creating value for money, that is also high, this is called public sector star. That product is public sector star, because it both things are high. If political hotbox, what is that? If public need and funding effectiveness is high but value for money is low, it is not delivering three E's, then it is called political hotbox. Then, if public need and funding effectiveness is low, but value for money is high, that is called golden fleece. And if both are low, public need and low, and value of money both are low, this is called backdoor issues discontinue. Yes, as dog product will not survive so long, as in this we have to discontinue those things, because that has low public need and funding effectiveness and low value for money as well. So, what is that meant by public sector star? What are the characteristics? Attractive to the public and well funded. Funds are used well and the service goals are achieved. Yes, you funds are used effectively and you ultimately achieve the goal. So these are star. Continue at current funding levels. Yes, government is sponsoring you, so you have to continue it. Golden fleece, very effective, but the public believe that it is overfunded. Yes, Golden fleece are basically those who have low funding but high value for money. So it is very effective. It is achieving their targets, but people think that it is overfunded. That sector should not get so much fund. Move funds to the other services, aim to reduce the service or cut staff members. So you have to reduce the cost. Backdoor issues, not effective and not desired by the public. Remove this service. Yes. This is low at both ends, so you have to remove it. Political hotbox, very popular but not very effective because value for money is very low. Putting a drain on funding that could be used elsewhere. So government should put that fund on any other project because it is draining the funds. Either aim to change the public perception and change it on a backdoor issue, or try to improve effectiveness, for example by providing extra resources and turn it into a star lobby for more funding. If you handle in the later sorry in I before give you the example of BCG matrix, that problem child, if you spend on problem child and you retain the losses of problem child and you invest more on problem child, then you will get the benefits from the problem child, and ultimately it will convert it into star products. But you same is the case here. If you bear that public perception and you improve the things, and you have spending that extra resources, then political hotbox will ultimately convert it into public star, sector star, because it will change the perception of the public. But you have to bear that all losses, and you have to make new investment in that sector as well. Now, Ashridge portfolio display. Now, the next is Ashridge portfolio display. What is Ashridge portfolio display or parenting matrix? Developed by Campbell Gold and Alexander. Focuses on the benefits that corporate parents can bring to business units and whether they are likely to add or destroy value. Now, how in this we are also analyzing the value addition. How good is the match between perceived parenting opportunities and the parent skill? How good is the match between the CSFs, critical success factor of the business units, and the skill and resources that the parent can bring? This is basically applied on parent and subsidiary companies. So, how parenting is good, they have the skills to manage the subsidiaries, and how CSFs of the business units and parent company how deploy resources and skill to manage those CSFs. Now, ability to on y-axis we have ability to add value, and on x-axis we have opportunities to add value. If we have the ability to add value high, but the opportunities to add value low, these are called blast. We have that ability, but we don't have opportunities. If the ability is low and the opportunities are also low, this is called alien territory. Alien territory means that you don't have that command on that territory, so don't go into that thing. This is alien for you. You don't know anything about that. You don't have the ability, you lack the ability, you lack the opportunity as well. If the ability is high and the opportunity is also high, that is called heartland. These are basically those core areas on which you, these are the fortes on which you can play. If the ability is low but the opportunity is high, that is called value trap means that you are lacking the ability but the opportunity is high, that is attracting you, and ultimately you get trapped of it. So this is called value trap. Now, heartland business units. These are where there is a high degree of match and the parent company has the capability and experience to add value by providing the support required by the business unit. These businesses should be central to future strategy. Yes, parent company have the capability, have the experience to add the value. There is no doubt that they can manage the things easily. So these are heartland. High ability, high opportunity. Blast, these are those where the parent understand the business well, but there are limited opportunities to offer. They understand the business, but the opportunities are less. Value addition is more, but the opportunities are less. So how you can invest? Sometimes because the business has owned for a long time had and has no further support needs. Yes, you cannot. You are not going to. You don't need any support from any other thing because there is a long time and you own now a good name, so you don't need support of any other company. These businesses would do rather better if left alone or indeed divested. Value trap. These are those where there appear to many parenting opportunities, but there is a poor fit with the critical success factor of the business. Yes. Parenting opportunities are more, but ability lacks. Parent company do not have the ability to manage those critical success factors. They are not skillful to manage that CSFs. So this is value trap because it will not ultimately give you value addition. It will ultimately lead to loss. Alien businesses. These are those where there is a complete mismatch. They should not remain part of the corporate portfolio because no ability, no opportunity. So don't go into that market. I hope you are getting what I am saying to you.
जी मैम, जी मैम.
Okay. Any question? Any question till now you want to ask me? And this is
I will
end of
review. I
your
will
chapter.
review this chapter.
And this is end of your chapter. Today's agenda I have completed. We started with methods of strategic development. There are two methods. I repeat. I am giving the recap of the whole chapter. There are two things. There are two strategies through which we can. There are two methods which we can develop strategically. The one is developmental methods, and other one is portfolio analysis. In developmental methods, we are going for acquisition, organic growth, joint ventures, franchising, and licensing. In portfolio analysis, we go for BCG matrix, other matrices, and Ashbridge portfolio display. Other matrices, that is for public sector, which we discussed. Now, what is acquisition? Acquisition is basically you are acquiring the company, you are the holding or parent company, and there is a subsidiary under you. Organic growth, yet you believe in yourself, you grow organically step by step, rather than acquiring and or going for mergers or acquisitions. Joint ventures mean you are joining the things and you are combining the effort of two things, and ultimately two organization, you are combining the effort of two organization, and you ultimately you are going for that achievement of that goal. This is called joint ventures. Interests are same, resources are same, costs are same, risks are same for both of the organization. Franchising is basically you are taking the name of that brand, and ultimately you are using that name, brand name, and you will get benefit of it. Licensing, you are licensed to do that thing. This is also, you can say that, uh, this is also you are not getting, parent company or any other company is not involved, you are solely deciding what you have to do. In portfolio analysis, we discuss BCG matrix. In that, we are going to analyze the products on two bases. What are those bases? Market share and market growth. And on those bases, we uh, characterize those products into four categories. Number one, star, problem child, cash cows, and dogs. And then we apply that on the public sector. If examiner is asking about products public sector, then we have to analyze or use the words which we used in the public sector star. And then Ashbridge, in Ashbridge portfolio display, we will discuss four types of things, that is value, that is also for value addition. And that is, what are that four? The heartland, blast, value trap, and alien businesses. And this is also whether this is basically for that thing, that whether parent company have the ability or competence to add value to that thing or not. If you have the ability, that is heartland. If you don't have, the parent company understand but well, but the opportunities are limited, this is called blast. If there you don't, if you lack the abilities but there are opportunities, this is called value trap. And if both are low, opportunities are also less and your abilities are also less, this is called alien business. That is not your cup of tea, you are not going into that market at all. I hope the things are clear to you.
जी मैम, we can say that portfolio analysis basically helps to implement the
Decisions.
strategy decision. Yeah, it facilitates
Yeah,
basically.
exactly, it
It
facilitates.
facilitates. Yeah, this is the input and that is the output.
Exactly, you have
That
to decide and evaluate according to the vertices which we have said, that ability to grow or current market. So you have to evaluate the things according to those two variables or those two parameters, and then you have to decide what to do and what to not, and you have to apply exactly on the scenario which is given by the. Firstly, you have, in any, I told you before, Anwar, that when you are going to solve the question, firstly you have to address the conceptual framework of that question. If, for example, and BCG is an important topic for the attempt, I'm telling you, BCG is an important topic. Examiner asked so many times so many questions on BCG. What they said, firstly you have to evaluate the products. Firstly, when you are going to apply BCG matrix on any scenario, beta, first of all you have to discuss the conceptual framework which I told you, that what star product mean, what problem child mean, what cash cows mean, and what dog products mean. Star means high market growth and high market share. Problem child mean high market growth but low market share. Cash cows mean high market share but low market growth. Dog products mean low market share, low market growth. Firstly, you have to discuss the conceptual. Then you have to analyze that the product which is discussed in the scenario by the examiner, in which category they plot. And if they plot in, I suppose that they plot in problem child, so you have to say that if we work on that product and if the company have the ability to bear the losses or to invest more in that problem child product, they can ultimately convert that problem child into star product of the company. Got it? Got it?
Thank you, Jazakallah. Yes, yes, yes.
Now you have to go into the Kaplan kit and make sure that you have to attempt the question and get back to me. I want more questions from your side. The more you question attempt, it is better for you. It is not for my benefit, it is better for you. I am ready to evaluate, I am ready to answer, but you are not doing the questions. And your first question is not satisfactory at all. I am not satisfied by the way you are addressing the questions.
I will do more inshallah in this week.
Please, I request you that you have to do on BCG matrix one question and send it to me on my email ID, as I already given it to you. Now, thank you from my side. Hope you get it. And if you have any question regarding it, please do ask me.
Thanks, ma'am. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hmm.
See you tomorrow. The class will be on 11 o'clock Pakistani
Okay, ma'am.
Pakistani time.
Okay.